The cashier lane was jammed and the guy in the SUV leaned out and told Michael he was a parking lot attendant. Not a real job. Then he flicked his card at the payment terminal like he was feeding a vending machine and laughed when the screen froze. Michael had to stand there with a line of cars behind him while the supervisor watched from the booth and did nothing. When the SUV finally rolled out, Michael bent down to reboot the terminal and saw a tiny QR code sticker tucked under the plastic lip, like someone had hidden it on purpose. He peeled it halfway and it resisted new adhesive, not old grime. He stuck it back, finished the shift, and waited until his break. Outside the booth, behind the concrete pillar where the cameras hit a blind angle, he scanned it with his phone, expecting a menu or some coupon scam. Instead, a page opened that looked like a wallet interface, simple, black and white, with a balance in sats and a big button that said send. No password prompt. No login. Just money sitting there like somebody left their debit card on the sidewalk. First mini climax was the balance. It was not pocket change. It was the kind of number that could clear 2 months of rent in Little Havana if you were lucky and your landlord was not in a mood. Second mini climax was the transaction list. Dozens of small incoming payments, then a few big ones, then nothing for months. Third mini climax hit when the terminal inside the booth rebooted again and his supervisor yelled from the doorway, "Michael, stop messing with it," and the sticker under the lip suddenly felt like a trap that had his name on it. He put the phone away and went back inside, acting normal, but his hands were shaky when he counted receipts. When he got home, he opened the page again on his old laptop, using the building Wi-Fi so it did not look like his phone was glued to it. The wallet loaded the same way, still open, still waiting. He took screenshots and saved them into a folder labeled parking maintenance, like that would somehow make it less dangerous. Then he did the one thing that made it feel real. He sent a tiny test amount, barely enough to buy a coffee, to his own new wallet app. The confirmation came through in seconds. A clean little line in the history. He stared at it until his eyes hurt, then closed the laptop when someone knocked on the apartment door. The next day he tried to do the responsible thing first because the other option was to pretend he never saw it, and he already knew he would not sleep. He told the garage manager, a woman named Celeste who ran everything with a clipboard and a face that said hurry up. He kept it simple. There is a QR sticker under Lane 2 terminal. It links to a wallet with money in it. It might be tied to customers. It might be fraud. Celeste looked at him like he had said the word cryptocurrency on purpose to annoy her. She said, "You touch the terminals again and I write you up." Then she walked to Lane 2, glanced under the lip, and shrugged. Maintenance issue. Put in a ticket. First mini climax was the ticket. The maintenance portal bounced it back with a note that said vendor-owned hardware. Second mini climax was the vendor rep on the phone who told Michael they do not handle stickers, just firmware, and suggested he call security. Third mini climax arrived in the form of a coworker named Ray, who overheard and decided it was hilarious. Ray started calling him Bitcoin Mike in front of the other attendants and asking if he was going to retire. The jokes were loud enough that even customers smirked. Michael's real problem was that he did not know what the wallet was. Could be abandoned. Could be bait. It could belong to someone who would come looking, not politely. The garage sat under a condo tower in Brickell, with valet runners, delivery drivers, and late-night club traffic. People lost phones, keys, and tempers there. He pictured someone placing that sticker, collecting payments meant for the garage, and leaving the wallet open because they planned to scoop it later. He called the non-emergency number for Miami police and asked what to do with found digital funds. The dispatcher paused like she was deciding if he was pranking her, then told him to come to the station and make a report. At the front desk, the officer listened, then said, "If it is money and you found it, you report it. If it is online, do not touch it again." When Michael asked if a QR code on a terminal counted as found property, the officer told him to write everything down and bring screenshots. That night, Michael printed the screenshots at a FedEx office near Flagler, paid cash, and walked them into the station like they were evidence. The desk officer took the paper, frowned at the word sats, and called a supervisor. Michael sat on a plastic chair under a poster about car theft while 2 cops debated whether this was even a thing. Finally, one of them said, "We can file it as suspicious sticker and possible theft of services. But if you moved funds, that complicates it." Michael felt his stomach drop. He admitted the tiny test transfer and handed over that screenshot too. The officer's eyebrows went up. He did not yell. He just said, "Do not do any more. If this is tied to a theft, you do not want to be in the middle." Michael walked out into the humid dark with a case number on a slip of paper and the feeling that he had just stepped onto a narrow bridge with traffic on both sides. The next week he did everything slowly and in the open because moving fast was how people got hurt or blamed. He stopped scanning the QR code at work. He did not peel the sticker. He used his brake to photograph the terminal from a distance, the lane number, the serial tag on the side, the date on the receipt roll, anything that anchored it in reality. He wrote it all down in a notebook with greasy fingerprints on the cover. At home, he reopened the wallet page, but only to observe. Balance unchanged. The same quiet history. Then a new incoming payment hit mid-afternoon on a Tuesday, like someone had paid a fee and walked away. That was Mini Climax 1. It meant the sticker was active. People were feeding it without knowing. Mini Climax 2 came when he checked the garage's own daily totals. They were short in the same time window, small gaps, the kind that could be dismissed as card declines. Mini Climax 3 hit when Celeste called him into the office and shut the door. She said, "Corporate asked why you involved police. We have a vendor audit next month. Are you trying to cause trouble?" Michael kept his voice calm. "I did not want trouble. I found something that looked like theft. If it is nothing, fine. If it is something, it is not going away." Celeste stared at him, then softened just a bit. She said, "The vendor is coming Friday. We will have security stand by. Do not talk to residents about it." Friday came and the vendor tech arrived with a tool bag and a bored look. He crouched, checked under the terminal lip, and his face changed. He said, "This is a redirect sticker. People scan it when the NFC fails or when they get impatient. It sends them to a wallet link instead of the payment page. Whoever did it knew exactly where to place it." Security pulled camera footage, but Lane 2 faced a stream of headlights and reflections. The best they got was a gloved hand one night, moving fast, and a hoodie that could have been anyone. The tech scraped the sticker off with a plastic blade and dropped it in an evidence bag like it was a roach. Michael watched the little square disappear and felt relief, then immediately felt worse, because the wallet still existed, and he still had access to it from his saved link. That weekend, someone tried to log into Michael's email from an unfamiliar device. The alert popped up while he was buying groceries at a Winn-Dixie. He changed his password in the aisle, hands sweating, staring at canned beans like they were part of the problem. When he got home, he saw 2 missed calls from an unknown number and a voicemail that was just breathing and street noise before it clicked off. Michael did not pretend he was brave. He was careful. He bought a cheap prepaid phone, left it in a drawer, and stopped using the garage Wi-Fi at home. He went back to the police station with the new fax, the sticker removed, the vendor confirmation, the strange calls. The officer on duty took notes and told him to document everything, but also said something that stuck. Most of these guys are not violent, they are opportunists. They do not want attention. Still, the pressure built. Ray kept joking, but now it had an edge. Ray said, "You got that wallet link, right? You could fix your life. Nobody is coming for it." Michael said nothing, but he started watching Ray's hands around the terminals more than he watched the cars. A new twist landed on Monday. Corporate sent an email about missing revenue and threatened to cut staffing hours. Celeste posted the schedule and Michael saw his shift count drop. Mini Climax 1 was the practical fear. Rent does not care about ethics. Mini Climax 2 came when a resident complained that attendants were incompetent and demanded refunds. Mini Climax 3 came late at night when Michael checked the wallet link again and saw the balance had jumped. A big deposit, bigger than any before. Then another. Like someone dumped the week's take into it. He could have walked away. He also could have been the only person holding a clear thread from the scam to the money. He opened a spreadsheet and started logging everything he could see, timestamps, amounts, the moment the sticker was removed. He printed it. He took it to a local attorney whose office sat above a tax prep place on Coral Way. The attorney listened, asked questions that made Michael feel exposed, then gave him the first real plan. The attorney said, "In Florida, found property should be turned in. Digital makes it weird, But you already have a police report. Do not keep it quiet. If law enforcement wants you to help secure the funds so they stop moving, they can authorize it. If you move money on your own, you are taking a huge risk. Michael walked out with a business card and a knot in his throat, because the wallet balance kept ticking like a clock and he could not stop looking at it. The police eventually looped in a county fraud investigator who actually understood what he was seeing. The investigator met Michael at the station, looked at the screenshots and said, "This is not magic. It is just a dumb redirect and a lot of people in a hurry." He asked Michael to show on his own device that the link still loaded and that it still allowed sending. Michael did, hands trembling, careful not to press anything. Here was the decision point. The investigator said they could not seize what they could not access, and the scammer might drain it at any moment. If Michael was willing, they would document him moving the balance into a law enforcement-controlled wallet for safekeeping, then treat it like recovered proceeds tied to the case. Michael asked, "Am I going to get arrested for touching it again?" The investigator said, "Not if we do it right, in the station on record with your statement and my supervision." Mini Climax 1 was the room. A plain interview room, a camera in the corner, a printer humming outside. Mini Climax 2 was the transfer itself. Michael hit send, entered the address the investigator provided, and watched the confirmation spinner that felt like it was taking a year. Mini Climax 3 was when the transfer completed and the wallet page showed 0. Relief hit him so hard he almost laughed. Then he realized he had just moved a pile of money that was never supposed to be his. The next weeks were a grind. Corporate restored some hours once the sticker story was framed as external fraud, not employee error. Ray stopped calling him Bitcoin Mike and started acting distant. Celeste avoided talking about it at all. Meanwhile, the investigator called twice, once to ask for a timeline, once to say they had a suspect, a former subcontractor who had done weekend kiosk work and disappeared. Then came the part Michael had not allowed himself to imagine. The investigator told him the case might take months. Any victim claims would be sorted. If nobody claimed the recovered funds after the legal process, there was a path under found property rules and restitution policies, but nothing was guaranteed. Michael hung up, stared at his cracked kitchen table, and felt something like anger, not at the police, but at the fact that even doing the right thing still kept him stuck. A month later, a letter arrived from the property clerk with the case number and a notice about recovered funds held pending claims. The amount was listed. It was enough to change his year, not his whole life. He folded the letter twice, put it in a drawer, and told himself to stop fantasizing. The first check did not come as a miracle. Came as paperwork. Michael had to sign an affidavit notarized at a shipping store next to a pharmacy, stating what he found, when and how he reported it. He had to provide the police report number, his ID, and a statement from the garage vendor confirming the sticker was a redirect. It was slow, boring, and it made the whole thing feel real in the least glamorous way. When the funds were finally released to him as a lawful finder portion after claims and fees, it was not the full balance he had seen on the screen that first day. Some went to reimburse documented victims who filed complaints. Some stayed tied up in the case. What Michael received was still enough to do something he had been postponing for years. He enrolled in night courses at Miami-Dade College, 2 evenings a week, classes that started after his shift. Basics of accounting first, then intro to IT support, the kind of practical track that employers actually asked about. The money paid tuition, books, and a used laptop that did not overheat. He kept receipts like they were evidence because in his head they were. Ray eventually asked him, quietly, if any of it was true. Michael said it was true and it was stressful and it is over. Celeste never apologized, but she started treating him like an adult instead of a problem. The fraud investigator sent one last message months later. They had made an arrest. The case was still moving. Michael did not tell the story for attention. He told it because he had learned something simple and hard. A cheap little sticker can reroute a lot of people's money, and the easiest choice in the moment can turn into the worst year of your life. He kept working the booth, kept showing up to class, and every time a terminal froze and a driver got impatient, he watched the underside of the plastic lip like it could bite.